I'm going to show you the stripper I'm using right now. All right, stripper we're going to be using. And I'm only going to be stripping certain parts of this door, okay? Now, I'll tell you why I'm going to be stripping it the way I am. Okay, now what I'm going to be doing is, see, I'll be able to sand all this with the palm sander, all right? So the only areas I'm going to strip is this detailed grooving in here, all right? Where you've got this kind of, it's kind of convex, it slopes here at an angle, kind of curves, which is hard, that you have to sand by hand in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use stripper in these areas, in these recessed areas, all right? And then I'll be able to hand sand them quick and easy. I'll be able to palm sand everything that's flat. All right, we're going to go ahead and remove this bubbling here. So no further ado, let's get this going. All right. Now, this is going to simplify the process and make this job faster and easier to handle. It'll expedite the sanding process, and it'll just be a win-win. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and sand this off here where it's bubbled. Okay, then when I'm done, I'll go ahead and I'll palm sand this. All right. Now I've got this setting on a bucket, and that's where I will dump most of the paint that's being stripped off of here. All right. Okay. Now, I will be putting my stripper into this glass jar. Okay. Right, let's get this stripper in this jar. You don't want too much at one time. Okay. Make sure you put your lid back on. All right, I spilt a little bit here, so I don't want it running down the jar. Okay, now what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to just put it right into the groove. Okay. This is the only area I want to remove the paint, because I'll be able to palm sand everything else that's flat. So in the channel, we'll call it a channel, in this recessed area is the only place I'm going to put this paint stripper. It doesn't need to sit for very long. It doesn't take too much time at all. All right. And you want to do this in a well and ventilated area. Okay. I'm going to get this camera set up better here in just a moment. Okay, now when I'm done with stripping these doors, I'm going to then sand the paint, any paint that's left, which will just be small amounts of paint. I'll be sanding them smooth. Okay. Now, I'm going to be getting a better position on this. So you can see, all right, I've just gone around this entire area. All right, I'm going to spread this out a little better. Okay, this will add a little bit more paint stripper to it. Okay, make sure you get your corners real good in those corners, in the seams or joints here, and the edges. Okay. Now, I'm taking a flexible putty knife that I'm going to use to scrape. All right, let's see if it's ready. So in the meantime, I'm just going to come in here and just kind of cut this paint from these joints right here. That's to help to remove the paint. Get that separated. Get right into that corner. Okay. Now, let's see. Nope, not quite. No, I have another tool that I'm going to use. Every tool has its purpose and where it works the best. This is a semi-sharp. This is a semi-sharp wood chisel, all right? A sharp wood chisel, if you push forward, it will dig in and chip and or gouge your wood. And so this being semi-sharp, it allows me to remove the paint without chipping or gouging or digging in, all right, to the wood. As you see here, it allows me to remove the paint without gouging the wood. Now, if I'm not careful, it can still be gouged. But as long as I'm careful, it won't be gouging anything at all. Okay. So, so now, looks like I may have to put another layer of the stripper on it. Okay. Now we have a water-based paint on top of an oil-based paint. The original paint was the oil base, while the second coat of paint that was put on here was a water base. And you can see the brush marks and some cracking, some really rough as an end result. And these need to look as nice as possible for the finished paint. Okay, so if the paint is cracked or you see the brush strokes in the paint, when you paint over it, it'll show up. So this way it eliminates, you're removing the brush strokes, any wrinkles in the paint, so that you have a professional, nicely painted surface when you're done. Okay. And remember, if you can't feel the joint, or if you can't feel where the paint is chipped or starts or stops. If it's all feathered, sanded, then if you can't feel it, you won't see it after it's painted. Okay, and that's a good rule of thumb to go by. That if you can't feel it, you won't see it after it's painted. So it's called feather sanding or tapered sanding. Okay. Now I'm going halfway down, or a little over halfway, and removing the paint. And this is the water base that's coming off at the present time. Okay. And I'm just doing this recessed area. Now, the next step is I'm going to come back and I will flip the chisel over, okay, in this position here. And then I will scoop and scrape upward. Okay, and I'll be removing it the rest of the way from the top to the top of it. All right. But I'll be flipping the door around, swinging it around this way. Okay. And then I'll be able to catch it in this direction and remove the paint on the upper portion of this. Okay. And that's how you do that. Now you can start in this direction and go upward and flip your chisel over. All right, so the top is facing down. Now doing this in the sun, I find doing this in the shade actually is better. It allows for the stripper to penetrate a little deeper, and it doesn't dry out because the sun is actually drying out the stripper here. Okay, so I may have to take this into the shade so that this paint will come off a lot easier, a lot better. I won't have to keep reapplying, recoating it. Okay, so in the shade, it doesn't dry as fast. It allows for better penetration of the stripper. Because if this was in the shade, I would be removing both layers of this paint versus just the external layer. Now, the advantage to just removing this top layer of paint is it should allow me not to do as much sanding as an end result. That's the way it's looking, so I'm going ahead and just continuing to do it this way. That way I'll be able to do less sanding as an end result. Although it may end up causing me to use more stripper because I'm having to make multiple layers. Okay, going over this multiple times, which is causing me to use more stripper than I would be if it was in the shade. Now, with getting this on top, I now have to scrape the top of this. Now, if you have a smaller brush and you don't get the top, then you won't have to sand it later if you just keep it down here. All right, down in that channel. Because I'm not real happy, although I'm uncertain at this point how I'm liking this overall. See, now you want to flip your chisel over. It doesn't work. Did you see how that was working? Okay, this way is awkward. You don't have as much control flipping it over backwards. It gives you more control because this is kind of convexed in here. Okay, it's got a slight curve with this angle. And so this allows me to scoop as I push to remove this paint. So like I'm saying, I'm not really liking this process here of how this is actually going. I'm not really caring for this. Okay, see, I can go down and catch that bottom half going this way. But I'm not really caring for how this is going at the moment. I'm getting a feel for it, determining how I like it and what I'm going to end up doing here. Whether I'm going to finish this in the shade or start it out in the shade and then bring it out in the sun after for the final sanding. Okay. Because I'm not sure how I like this. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip this over and go upward and remove this here. Okay. So the stripper works best in the shade, okay? It's definitely works better in the shade, the stripper does. So why am I still sitting out here in the sun? Well, it's a little warmer here in the sun. It's in the low 50s or high 40s in the shade, which isn't terrible. Some states that would be warm. It's not bad here, actually. Okay, I'm going to catch this here so I can get right up against this edge. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm doing. Okay, getting right up against that edge this way. Okay. Right up against that edge. Okay. So this does work here for that, for getting into the edge for sure. Upside down. Okay. Okay, get that groove cleaned out here. Okay, you just keep working with it. Okay, it's bubbling up. Scrape that where it's bubbling up here. It's bubbling up. Let's get that where it's bubbling. Okay. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate everyone's time. And support means a lot. Home improvement tips, aka Easy 2 Tips and Tricks, where you see everything up close and personal. Okay, now this speeds up the process because I'm not doing the whole entire surface. Okay, so that's what I like about. Okay, I get down here in this groove into this channel right here, and it's the only area I have to focus on, which speeds up the process for sure. Okay, now you just come downward here, catch this, and you come in the downward, slide it down. Okay, where you're pulling, you're catching this. Now, I didn't shake this can of stripper. I don't think you should have to. Okay. Now, this looks amateur. Okay, I realize this really does look amateur. It's a slow process. Call it hurry up and wait. Okay. Now, if I had a big vat, I could just dip the whole entire I could dip this whole thing in the stripper if I had a vat. That'd be quite a bit of stripper. But it would speed up the process to this door. But since I don't, just gotta do what you can do. Okay, I'm raking this off. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, what helps to neutralize the stripper is paint thinner. And so you wipe the door down with a wet rag soaked with paint thinner. You could even pour the paint thinner on the door itself and wipe it down with the rag when you're done. This is before you sand, so you don't put the paint stripper particles in the air when you sand. It gets in your nose and causes irritation and can be a problem. You don't want to be breathing it either. I do have a a mask with the filter on it for that time when I go to sand. But if you rinse the doors in paint thinner, it helps to dissolve, remove, neutralize the stripper. It helps. Okay. And that I'll be doing before I sand. I could even wipe it down when I'm done with this here as well. So paint thinner, lacquer thinner helps to remove, neutralize the paint, the stripper, paint stripper. Okay. That's something I guess I should have mentioned in the beginning of this video. Okay. You just keep working with it. You're going to kind of overlap as you do this so that you don't miss anything. It all stays consistent. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right. Let's clean this right here. Okay. Now let's get that flip over, come down. Okay, this chisel works really good. Okay, even if it seems like it's not, I'd be getting less paint off if I was using a putty knife. Okay. Okay. Okay, now. I do thank everyone for being here, for the support. Hope you're not too bored, because this could be like boring, you know. But united we stand, united we help one another here on YouTube. It's just how we do it. It's how we do it. We support one another. So I appreciate everyone's time here and support. I cannot see the chat. I'm in the sunshine, and the chat is blurred. It's whited out. Nothing but a glare. So I will be able to check the chat after the live stream. Shout outs, Billy B, Victor Sane Auto. That's Sane Auto, SANEAUTO, Sane Auto. Dennis RPM, reviewing, playing, and more. That's Dennis's channel. Again, that's RPM, reviewing, playing, and more. Billy B, Sane Auto. Patty Fish. Mike Ranger 92308. Ranger Gaming 92308. We have Heather's Family Blogs. Heather's Family Blogs. Then there's an old friend. He hasn't put up any YouTube videos for a while, but he has quite a few car repair, truck repair, fishing, animal hunting. That's Mike Walker Outdoors. He has some good content. He hasn't, like I said, he hasn't put up any content for a while. But that's Walker Outdoors, Mike. Heather's Family Blogs or Vogs. It's Rich Vernado. He has commercials, all kinds of interesting information, interesting videos, interviews. And that's Richard Vernado, and that's French. I believe that's VERNDEAU, I believe, for Vernado. Interesting channel. Like I said, he's got the old time commercials going on, and just a real interesting channel. And check him out. Sane Auto has car show videos and repair videos and all kinds of car related information and videos. So check out Richard Vernado. Well, I do not like how this is going right now. Don't like it at all. But as you see, this is, like I said, this is a water-based paint on top. It's an oil base on the bottom, the undercoat. The original paint is oil base. And you can see it's much more substantial than the water. This stripper will penetrate the oil. It just takes longer. And like I was saying in the shade, if you look at my other videos on stripping doors, where I'm using this, my last video where I was using the paint stripper, you can see that the paint was coming off faster, smoother, getting more removed at one time. I wasn't having to reapply the stripper like I am here. Okay. Now here, the way that's looking, I'm going to take it down in this case. All right. Sliding that to the side. It's going down and sliding that into that corner as well over here. Okay. Let's come down here. All right, that's working pretty well. Okay, I'm going to take this. All right. Now at this point, I'm going to slide this into this corner as I come down. Get into that corner. All right. Take this, slide that down and into that corner. All right, there we go. All right. Now I can catch this here at an angle. If you're still here, thank you, because I'm sure this is pretty boring. And it's about content. You want to have good content. But this is just keeping it real, you know. This is just the process. Stripping cabinet doors is no fun. It could be a little faster. Okay. I'm probably gonna end this stream and go into where I have some shade over there and continue to remove this, and the process will be a little faster. And you know, this isn't coming off like it should. It's really not. As you can see here, this is removing the oil-based paint now at this point. Okay. Down here, you can see the oil base coming off now that the strippers had longer time to soak and penetrate the paint. Okay. And yeah, I feel like I'm just messing around here. This really isn't coming off like I want it to, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to continue though to work this here. And flip this over where I can kind of dig in a little better, get a little bit more leverage. But you see the stripper is drying, and I'm having to reapply this stripper here. And I shouldn't have to do that right now. That should have been plenty to start with. But like I said, the sun dries out the stripper. So I don't recommend you doing this in the sun at all. I shouldn't have to be reapplying the stripper. Should not have to do this. Okay. Yeah, I don't like this. So and having to mess with the face of this, that's not good either. That takes up time. And that's why I'm doing just this channel right here, because like this is the only area I have to hand. This is all sanded by hand when I'm done. I cannot get really, if I get this palm sander in here, it's too difficult to sand this channel and not change the detailing or the edge of the panel's edge up here, or the sides, and it'll be ugly, deformed, and you don't want to deform your door. You want it to look crisp, your lines straight, crisp, like they do from the factory. You don't want to change the factory edges. And your palm sander will change the factory edge as you try to sand in here with your palm sander. That doesn't work. If you had a square palm sander, the old type, the old school type, the jitterbug type sanders, and that were square, if you were careful, you could sand that area, but ultimately you have to do it by hand because you can still mess it up with that, because it's not designed to take this swoop on the angle, this convex shape in this angle that's here. All right, you got an angle, and then at this point you've got a slight curve from this point forward, and it's not a true angle, and that's where you're going to mess up this edge right here trying to use a palm sander of any sort, because they're not designed to do that. You get your thumb in there really nice, takes on that shape well with sandpaper, or your finger takes on this convex area with the sandpaper, and that's why you have to do it by hand. Yeah, this is not working out like it's supposed to here. This is terrible, but I'm glad I'm doing it. Here you can see, so you don't have to make the same mistakes as I'm making. Learn from the mistakes here. And so now you know you don't want to apply stripper in the sun. After it's been applied in the shade and has soaked into the paint, you can then bring it into the sun, you're fine. But that's after the stripper has had time to soak into the paint. Then you can bring it out to the sun, and it will come off real well. Okay, because as you see, where it's had time to really soak, we're down to the wood finish of this solid oak door. Okay, this is a painted solid oak door, solid oak cabinets. Okay, so now you can see the evidence, the proof that the stripper has had time to really soak into the paint. It removes the paint. That oil-based paint doesn't stand a chance, but you cannot put it on. Don't apply it in the sun. So now you know. Apply it in the shade. Let it soak, penetrate. Then if you want to be out in the sun to remove it, not a problem. All right. Okay, so I don't know if there's anybody here in the chat at the moment, but if you leave comments, I will be able to see them again after. I'll be able to read the comments, any comments that were left in the chat. If there's YouTubers here, I hope you're making friends, supporting one another. Like I always say, united we stand, united we help one another. Here on YouTube. Okay. Catch that going upward. And I may have to sharpen this chisel just a little bit. So I can, looks like the edge may be losing its sharpness. May need to put another edge. Resharpen the edge. Because we don't want a super sharp chisel. We want it semi-sharp, but we don't want it dull either. We do not want it semi-sharp. I mean, we do not want it dull. We just don't want it super sharp. So semi-sharp is perfect for what we're doing. You can see how heavy this paint is here and how it is coming off. You can see the buildup here. I'm going to remove this buildup in just a moment. Okay. Okay. Okay, and let's see if I can catch this inner edge right here. Okay. Smoothing this out to make my sanding easier when it comes time to sand. You want to keep that in mind. You want to create less work for yourself. Don't make more for yourself by keeping it smooth as possible. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Okay, let's catch this area right here. Get it right in here. All right. Okay. Okay, see how that comes off. So this is working. But see how many layers, how many coats I've had to put on this. 3 coats in spots. See, I wouldn't have to do 3 coats if I was in the shade. So this is the curve. Okay, it's the lesson learned. Do not apply this in the sun. Do not apply stripper in the sun. Okay, unless you don't want it to penetrate very deep. And you want to apply more coats of stripper. You don't do it in the sun. Okay. Unless you're working on a project where it requires you don't want it to penetrate very deep, then you do it in the sun and test it. Other than that, no. And remember, you want to rinse your door, whatever you're putting stripper on, with paint thinner, lacquer thinner. It helps to neutralize the stripper so that when you sand, it's not going in the air and you're breathing it and it's irritating or causing raw spots in your nose or having other issues breathing. And always use a respirator of some sort when you sand, even if you're outdoors. Those fine particles will float in the air, end up in your nose, mouth. So you do want to use a respirator. And like I say, the paint thinner, lacquer thinner helps to neutralize the stripper. Okay. Yeah, I'm not real happy with how this is. This is taking way, way too long. Not happy with this at all. Wow. And once you start doing this on videotaping it, you kind of get stuck with it. And so you're seeing the end results here. I'm gonna drop my phone. Faith, yes. Good to see you. Only one showed up. Wow. Faith DS. Yes, Faith DS is a Christian channel. All right. So thank you for being here. This is the end results of doing this in the sun. It's taken me forever. It still isn't done very well. I still have more paint to remove. I've spent about an hour, almost an hour on this. And this is very slow. I've had to put basically 3 coats of stripper on this door. And I've spent an hour on one door and it's not even done. Look at this, nothing even removed, hardly from over here, that one channel. So this just doesn't work. Doesn't work. Wow. Show you another door here that I had started. Okay, much faster. So I haven't started yet. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, now let's go over and we'll see some other doors that I've did much quicker. I'm going to have to do them over here in this, but I'm going to end this live stream here in just a minute. All right, I'll show you some others I've been working on. This is Home Improvement Tips, aka Easy 2 Tips and Tricks. All right, this is when I was putting the stripper on the whole entire door. This took a lot of time. I still have to hand sand all of this. Well, hand sand down here in the channels. All right, palm sand all the flat areas. This is basically what it's going to look like when you're done, basically. Okay, not much sanding to do. All right. So now we know we do not want to apply. We don't want to apply the stripper in the sun. It slows down the process, and you don't want it to do that. So remember, this is Home Improvement Tips, aka Easy 2 Tips and Tricks. All right. Now, I'm going to show you what happened the other day, what I was doing. Okay. I was sanding by hand the doors and palm sanding. And I'm feeling it there for smoothness. Okay. But I was still needing to get down into the channels here because it was taking too long to hand sand them. Okay. So this is why that I changed over to just using the that's why I ended up just going over here to the stripper and using stripper. And as long as you do it as long as you use the stripper in the shade, it's all good. Okay. But you want to do it in the shade. And then after the stripper's been applied, soaked into it, then if you want to take it out in the sun, you can. It's not going to affect it. Because it's already penetrated everything. Okay. And so I want to show you a custom niche. I call it accessory shelf. There's your custom niche. Okay, that would represent your medicine cabinet. There was a medicine cabinet there, but I turned it into a niche. Okay, there's what you're looking at. Now, over here, you have the medicine cabinet. Bam. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Here's my custom old-fashioned toilet that I customized. All right, painted the hinges black, painted the handle black. That's an antique, semi-antique toilet. Okay. And barn door set up here. All right. So there you have it, folks. So this is home improvement tips, aka easy 2 tips and tricks where you see everything up close and personal. So tell a friend, it's a win-win-win. Doing this niche accessory shelf, I have this in my playlist. Check out my tiling videos, painting playlist. Check out my playlist. You'll find most of my videos. Now I have over 1,000 videos, more like probably 1,400 videos and counting. So you may want to check out my playlist for other videos on all types of different how-tos, home improvements. I also have a tour in California and Arizona. Went to the Grand Canyon, and that was interesting. There's antique trains in that video, on a whole selection on the beach. Vegas during the virus, during COVID, it was a ghost town. The airport in Vegas was a ghost town. And that's in tour in California and Arizona. So I have a variety of different videos, wildlife, etc. Don't know who's in the chat. So thanks for being here. Not sure who's in the chat. If you comment, I'll know who's in the chat. Don't forget Mike Ranger 92308, Ranger Gaming 92308, Sane Auto, that's SANE Auto. He has auto repair videos, he has car show videos, he has all kinds of car related type videos. Billy B, he's in Australia, Outback videos and whatnot. RPM, reviewing, playing, and more. He's a computer tech guy, gaming, does reviews on games and whatnot. And Heather's Family Vlogs. So if you comment, I'll know who's here. Not sure who's here. If you do a replay on the videos, you'll see this has been somewhat of a boring video, but at the same time, it's been a learning video. Because we've learned that you don't put paint stripper on in the sun because it dries up the stripper and it stops penetrating your paint, and you end up having to reapply and reapply your stripper, which takes more time, wastes your stripper. So you want to apply your stripper in the sunlight, in the shade, let it penetrate. Then if you want to come out in the sunshine, not a problem. So this took me an hour to get this far. Get this far on this door is terrible, terrible. So remember, don't use paint stripper in the sun unless you want to slow down the penetration of the stripper and you're just going to lightly remove the paint. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So there may be an application where you may need it to have just barely penetrate. And then you will know you want to do that in the sun. Gives you more control, slows it down. And you also want to wash it off, or helps paint thinner, lacquer thinner, helps to neutralize the stripper. And you want to do that before you sand. You want to wipe it down real good with the dripping, soaking wet rag, or with paint thinner in it, or lacquer thinner. Okay, well, this is Home Improvement Tips, aka Easy 2 Tips and Tricks. I look forward to hear from you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you comment before I end, I can shout out your channel, and maybe do a replay or play it back. You'll see. So let me check this. So I appreciate everyone being here, and it's been over an hour. So we can, what else can we do? Let's take a look at the mountains. I want to take a view of the mountains. Let's do a view of the mountains. Here we are. Sun's still up, and there's a mountain view. So appreciate everyone being here. Remember, tell a friend it's a win-win-win. Never give up, because there's always a way. Always. And official TC Cruise. Thanks for dropping in there, official TC Cruise. This is my backyard you're looking at. Oh, you're looking at my face up close and personal. There's my backyard you're looking at. Part of it anyway. All righty. Well, yeah, face shot up close and personal. Not funny. So, all right. So we've learned today, you don't put on paint stripper in the sun. It slows it down from penetrating. It dries it out. And so that's important information. And wear a mask when you sand, regardless, That way you're better safe than sorry. Whether you're using stripper or not, it doesn't hurt to have a mask. But stripper, you definitely want a mask. If you're using stripper, wipe it down with the dripping, with that rag soaked with paint remover, paint thinner, not paint remover. Have your rag soaked, dripping with paint thinner or lacquer thinner. It helps to neutralize the paint stripper. Best friend Dale just subscribed to you. Excellent. Thank you, Dale. Appreciate that. Lots of home improvement how-to videos. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'm more than happy to tell you what I know to help you do your job, your project. All right. Well, take care. God bless. And as always, never give up, because there's always a way. Always. Bye for now. Don't forget to pray for this nation. Thanks for being here. Catch you on the rebound.